You know, in a world that just never stops talking, what's actually going on inside the mind of the person who stays quiet? That's what we're diving into today, the psychology of the silent observer.
Okay, let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a room full of people and you're just quietly, I don't know, translating the real conversation that's happening underneath all the words? If that hits home, you are absolutely in the right place.
All right, so let's jump right in. The first thing we've got to do is just completely tear down this giant misunderstanding. Look, if you're a quiet person, I bet you've heard it all, right? Antisocial, shy, stuck up. But those labels, they get it so wrong.
So let me just say this right now. If anyone has ever told you that you're too quiet, you are not broken. You're not a problem that needs fixing. No, you're what we're going to call a silent observer. And your brain, it's running this incredibly sophisticated operating system that, honestly, most people just can't see.
So what does that actually mean, being a silent observer? Well, think of it like this. Your mind is processing the world in stunning high definition. Let's get into the science of it, because it explains exactly why you see all the things everyone else seems to miss.
And here's the thing, you are so not alone in this, not even close. About 20% of the entire population is wired just like you. This isn't some personal quirk, it's a real, documented biological trait.
The official name for it is sensory processing sensitivity. And all that really means is that your brain is built to take in more information, more subtleties, more details from everything around you. And yeah, that leads to a richer and sometimes, let's be honest, a much more intense inner experience.
I love this analogy of a spam filter. Okay, think about it like this. A typical brain has this built-in spam filter, right? It walks into a room and just deletes 90% of the background noise. It just goes away. But your brain doesn't have that filter. Nope. It's recording everything. It's analyzing everything. It's the difference between seeing the world in grainy 480p and experiencing it in full-blown 8K IMAX. And that right there is why the whole "you're overthinking it" thing is just completely off. It's not overthinking. It's your brain, your neural network, doing exactly what it was designed to do, process everything deeply and find the patterns that fly right over most people's heads.
Okay, so what happens when you put all of this deep processing together? Well, you get something pretty remarkable. This isn't just about noticing, the color of the carpet. It's about having a hidden superpower for reading the room.
See, those things in your brain called mirror neurons, the parts that help us feel empathy, yours are basically working overtime. You don't just observe emotions, you kind of download them. It's like being an emotional sponge. You're not just hearing the words. You're feeling the tension. You're seeing the slight shift in someone's eyes. You're picking up on the truth that nobody is actually saying out loud.
So, does any of this ring a bell? Are you the one who can feel the exact moment the energy in a room just shifts? Do you spot those tiny little micro-expressions that give the game away? And is that why you would take one real, honest conversation over 50 fake networking events any day of the week? Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
So let's just put this out there crystal clear. This is not a social flaw. It's the complete opposite. It's a highly sophisticated form of emotional intelligence.
Okay, so you might be thinking, why? Why am I wired this way? Well, it turns out there are a couple of really fascinating origin stories that might explain it.
So there are two main paths. The first is the watchful ancestor. Think about it. Evolutionarily, this was a huge advantage. Your ancestors were the ones who heard the predator in the bushes while everyone else was just partying. Their sensitivity literally meant survival. Then there's the other path, the child who knew too much. Maybe you grew up in a, let's say, unpredictable environment. You had to learn how to read the room before you could even read a book, just to stay safe. You became a master at sensing and managing the emotions around you.
And this next part is maybe one of the most mind-blowing pieces of the whole puzzle. Your brain's reward system is just fundamentally different from an extrovert's. Let's talk about the incredible power of silence. Okay, so extroverts get their kicks from dopamine, right? It's like a big parade in their brain from social buzz and noise. But your brain? Your reward comes from something called acetylcholine. It rewards you for deep focus, for reflection, for quiet. So when you choose to stay home instead of going to a party, you're not missing out. You are literally refueling. You're getting your own awesome neurochemical high, just from a different source.
There's actually a beautiful Japanese word for this, hitori. And it's so important to get this right. It doesn't mean lonely. It means a celebration of being alone. It's the act of choosing that quiet space so you can finally tap into your full potential, your full operating system.
And that's because you understand something that our noisy world is desperate to forget. Silence isn't empty. It's not a void. It's where the answers are. It's where clarity lives.
So, this all leads to the most important part of our whole conversation. It is time to throw out those old, busted labels and embrace a new reality. You're not a loner, you're a lighthouse. You're not a social failure, your silence is a form of deep integrity. And you are definitely not antisocial. You're a deep thinker.
So let's leave it with this final thought. Being quiet was never about having nothing to say. It was about seeing so much that you had to be careful with your words, with your energy. So the world's been asking you the wrong question this whole time. It's not, why are you so quiet? The real question is, in a world that's obsessed with noise, how brightly are you going to let your lighthouse shine?